All right. Uh, I meant to include this in my previous copy and paste video. So this is actually doing copying pasting in Explorer, which, as I said in the previous video, is slightly different in that if you cut a document or documents, you don't immediately see them disappear. That is delayed until you actually paste them somewhere else. Uh, okay, so if I select that document, to do so, I just got to click it. So for a single document, very simple. If I click on this handbrake icon, that is selected. You can see the highlight. You can see the highlight there. If I select that one's highlighted. So Windows will always, or any operating system will always somehow visually represent the fact that something is selected. So, okay, so if I want to move this document over here, I can drag and drop it. That's one way. Uh, it may not always go exactly where you drop. Sometimes it goes somewhere else on your desktop, and then you have to close all the windows and have a look for them, or press the Win D and back. But one way or the other, uh, that did copy. Now you would have seen that it said copy to desktop. So depending on the destination, it'll do different things. So in some cases it'll be moved, some cases it'll be copy. If you don't want to think about whether it's actually going to be a copy or paste, what I do is when I've got the selection, I right click. Oh, sorry. No, I don't. I've got the selection and instead of using the left button and dragging and while holding it down, use the right button. It says copy to desktop, but that's incorrect. That's not what it's. Oh, I'll copy it here. It's not going to copy because at the moment that's a bug in Windows. If I let go now, it's going to ask me what I want. So I can say I want to copy it here. I want to move it here. That's the same as a cut because that file in the source will disappear. This one it'll remain. Or I want to create a shortcut. So that's the easiest way of creating a shortcut to a program or something else as well, by the way. So if I create a shortcut to it, then it's a shortcut to that text document. If I edit that document and say my document, then it's one. Oh, from the size, you can't really tell it's different, but the date, you can actually date at the moment you can't tell either. Okay, so I suppose if I copy all that, Control A, copy, Control V. Okay, so now it's bigger. So now you can see that that's a 1K size, that's a 2K. So this here is a shortcut to it. If I double click it, it'll open that text document. So basically that shortcuts are a way of, generally on the desktop or other locations, but a way of having a second place that you can click to open. I don't have to go into temp folder on the D drive to open this document. I can just click the shortcut wherever, and I put that in a handy place. All right, so let's delete that. All right, so now Windows has a number of keys and ways of selecting multiple objects. So we went through, so I'm in this folder now. If I select, do Control A, just like in a document, it'll select everything. Now, if I want, let's say, that file, and let's say this file, then after the first selection, I hold the control key down on the keyboard and left click here. So if I left click here, now I've got 3 different selections, 3 objects selected. If I change my mind about here, I just do the same thing. Control key, click. Control key, click. If I click somewhere without the control key down, it'll go back and undo all those selections. So just remember what you're doing. So if I want this file, and that file I've just had the control key down for all of them, except the first one. So if you just want to start the selection, then always left click so you know that you haven't got any other selections anywhere else for any other reason. Control, control. Control again to unselect if you need to while keeping the rest selected. So then of course you can do, I'm going to right click and drag and select copy. Now you can also, just as a different way of doing it, well actually let's start with the basics. Let's say there's a sequence of files that, let's say these guys, from there to there. I'll go to the first one, select it. Actually, it could be the last one, could be the first one, doesn't matter. But now this time, instead of using the control key, I'll press shift. So I'm going to shift and click this. So what that means is my original selection was the start, and I'm marking the end. Anything between those will get selected. And again, if I hold the control key down because I don't want that particular one, then I can deselect that one. So that is some of the basics, but the other ways, similar to the shift scenario, is if I want these files, I can just click, hold, and drag. So whatever is contained within this box that I'm drawing here, those are the selected ones. Okay, so that I'm currently in details view, but if I go to icon view, same diff. So I can drag from that. You got to be careful not to start on the actual icon, and that can be a little bit tricky in this view. But let's say there, you can see you can select whatever you want. The click single, all the keys work the same way. So if I press shift, I've marked the end here, let's say. I press shift here, all of them in between get done. Again, if I hold the control key down and I don't want that document, I'll remove it from the selection. I think that's the main thing. So I suppose the base, it's fairly obvious, but because these are files, these are fairly important objects, and that's one of the reasons why as soon as you go cut, it doesn't remove them. But apart from that, so if I go cut, they remain until I go paste. Now I will go Control Z to undo that. But it doesn't want, Windows doesn't want you to lose files. So if you cut the files and then forget to paste, then you haven't lost your files. Now the other interesting thing about the clipboard